That's what it looks like when players are trying to get in your head. And that's the real game no one talks about. Not the plays, not the systems, but the mental warfare that happens every single shift. And the better you get, the more people who are going to try to get in your head. Coaches, opponents, fans, everyone wants a reaction out of you. They want to see if they can pull you off your game. Every high-level player eventually faces this test. They get targeted, they get chirped, they get hacked, they get baited. And if you don't understand what's really happening, you'll take it personally. And that'll lead you to grip your stick tighter. You'll start second-guessing yourself and being scared to make plays. And that's going to lead you to lose flow, lose ice time, and lose the fun of the game. And the worst part is if you work harder and care more than your teammates or the other team, you're actually more vulnerable to chirps. And I'll explain more about that specific point near the end of the video. So by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why chirps affect you and how to become the kind of player that nobody can rattle. But if you really master these skills, you'll become the type of player who's so confident that chirps actually make you better. First, we need to understand why chirps land. Why do they actually hit us and why do we react to it? The only reason we ever react to a chirp is because we secretly believe it in some way. Now, I know that's hard to believe. I know it's kind of frustrating to hear. You may disagree with me, but understand that if something presses a button on you, it means that there was a button to press. That's why you have an emotion, because you are responding internally. If someone says you're a purple elephant, you're not going to care because obviously you're not an elephant. But if someone says you're soft, a part of you that fears that might be true is going to react. That button got pressed. So realize that that need to defend, to prove, to fight back, that's really your identity trying to protect itself. And realize it's not weakness, it's just biology. Your brain basically reads judgment as danger. So it triggers the same fight or flight response, the same kind of freak out response as if you were physically standing at the edge of a cliff or someone was about to punch you in the face. You get that same response when someone judges you, when someone chirps you, when someone says something that you don't necessarily like. That's the same type of feeling, because just like you want to protect your body, you want to protect who you are as a person. If you say you're a good player, you want to protect, I am a good player. And so if someone kind of pushes against that, you're going to try to push back. That's that ego response. That's that identity response. And you have to be very conscious of that. And so what it looks like to have that fight or flight response is when someone chirps you, you feel your hands tighten up, your breathing kind of gets a bit more shallow, you start to get tunnel vision, and all these things lead you to not playing your game. They pull you out of flow. And so now that you see it, now that you also understand where it comes from, you need to learn how to train it. So to really handle chirps, you have to become deeply confident. Now, this isn't just surface level confidence. This isn't just saying, I'm the best, and shouting it in the mirror 1,000 times. The major part of confidence isn't pretending you have no weaknesses. It's actually knowing exactly what those weaknesses are and being okay with them. Because when you're fully secure in who you are, chirps just bounce off, because there's really nothing left to defend when there are no buttons to press, right? If you don't have a button that says, if you call me soft or you say I suck, if there's nothing that really gets affected when that happens, well, then you don't have to worry about saying, no, that's not true, I am great, you're a loser. Like, you don't have to get mad about it because you don't have that button where if they press it, you react. You have to be able to say, yeah, I turn the puck over sometimes. Yeah, I could be faster. Yeah, I could be a better player. And that may sound like negative thinking, but it's actually not. That's what inner security really sounds like. So the question is, how do you build that inner security? So as we talked about, every player has emotional buttons. These are triggers that pull them off their game, pull them out of flow. Essentially, what you have to do is learn to press those buttons yourself. So here's how you actually do that to become unchirpable. Step one, you need to identify the buttons. So take a piece of paper and write down all the times you've gotten frustrated, emotional, you've reacted to teammates, to opponents, anybody who's ever gotten in your head. Then step two is write an arrow beside them and say, why did this bug me? Step three is say, okay, what is the story I want to tell myself about this? What do I want to believe about this? And get very clear on that. And then step four is you want to actually practice that and start to visualize and see yourself doing what you want to do. So see the person coming up to you, see the person chirping you, replay that event in your head, and now start to respond the way you want, start to feel the way you want, and just practice that repetitively until it starts to become comfortable. It might take 5 reps, 10 reps, 20, may even take 50 reps, but if you do that consistently and you practice the situation with the response you want, boom, you're starting to realize that that's a button that's no longer going to get pressed. And when you've already faced all your insecurities head on, then nobody else can weaponize them against you. That's how you become unchirpable. So once you know yourself, the next step is to be aware in real time. So if somebody ever presses a button you haven't really trained or prepared for or kind of pressed yourself, then what you need to do is identify it right away. You need to take a quick breath, bring your focus back to your breathing. This calms your nervous system down. It shifts you into kind of a lower gear. Then you want to notice the thought. Instead of feeding into the negativity, start to notice it, become aware of it. And then you want to reframe it. Like, okay, this person's chirping me because they're just trying to get in my head. They're trying to bug me, and realize that any reaction I have to them is just me having an insecurity, that's totally cool. And then the last piece is channel it. You want to channel it into the next thing. You want to use it as fuel. I like to use this idea of, if you've ever seen Dragon Ball Z, which honestly, I've never actually watched the show fully, but I know that they kind of make this little energy ball with their hands, and they take that energy ball and then they basically kind of like channel it and throw it at the other person. You want to kind of think of that energy in the same way. When somebody says something, they press a button on you and it causes a reaction in you. Now what you want to do is basically take that energy that's now in your body, notice where it is in your body, and then use it as like a flame that you can condense and drive forward and push it into the next play, and it'll give you energy. And so again, you can practice this with mental reps, just like we talked about before. Imagine stuff like this happens and then start to notice, okay, how would I respond? That's how you can practice that skill. But then again, in a game, you're going to have buttons that get pressed that you weren't prepared for. That's normal, and that's why you want to have this skill we just talked about. And so now I mentioned that I was going to talk about the hidden challenge that hardworking players face. And this is the thing that most players miss. The players who care most often struggle the most with getting chirped. What I mean is that the people who put in the extra reps, the guys who stay late, the ones who think about hockey 24/7, they're the ones who feel the chirps the most. It hits them the hardest whenever somebody says something negative. I'm going to explain why. This happens because you care so much about the game that every word that someone says can feel like it's disrespecting the effort and the energy you've put into the sport. It basically feels like they're mocking your dream and who you are as a person. That's why the players who want it the most, who want to be the most successful, who put in the most effort, need to have the strongest mental game. Because the more you care, the stronger your identity is associated to who you are on the ice. And so it's very difficult to then go to the ice and play loose and free because you are so attached to, I have to play well. So you really have to master the skill of being able to let go and truly allow yourself to flow. Because the truth is, your care is a superpower in terms of how you train, but it is a threat when you play on the ice. Because in an actual game situation, if you care too much, it leads you to being tense. So you have to learn to actually develop these skills we just talked about, and you also have to learn to separate your identity from who you are on the ice to who you are off the ice. This allows you to be passionate about your training, show up and push really hard, but then when you do get off the ice, you're able to basically say, that's okay. But then when you get to a game, you're able to step into the game and fully embrace the game and not get super attached to it. Because again, if you care too much, you are going to try too hard, and trying too hard pulls you out of flow because you're attached to having to be perfect. So realize the players that rise the fastest are the players who work super hard before the game. They train really hard. They stay extra all the time. They give a shit, and they're able to detach when they step into the game. So these are the players who work on both the physical game. They train really hard physically, again, skills wise, and then their physical ability in the gym, and they work on their mental game so that they're able to get their mind out of the way when the time really matters. Because you can outwork everybody physically, but if mentally you're blocked, it's going to limit all the work you've done. And I know it's super frustrating to see players who work half as hard as you get twice the performance. They get more points than you, more ice time. It drives you insane. That used to be me. I was the guy that did all those things. I would stay all the extra time I could on the ice. I would always work harder than everybody. I was always doing everything I could, but then I would get to the games and I wouldn't trust myself. I wouldn't believe. And hockey just wasn't that fun. And it wasn't until I learned how to actually train my mind, how to program confidence, how to program focus and flow, how to program hockey IQ, that everything started to change. But I learned it too late. And that's why I do what I do now. I want to help players avoid this mistake to actually get the benefits they deserve from their hard work and get their mind to actually push them and propel them forward instead of hold them back. So if your mind stops you and is holding you back from moving forward, and you're ready to see what it looks like to actually develop a proper mental system and really train your mind as hard as you do your body, I want you to learn the system that I've taught hundreds of other players, help them move up levels, help them make pro, help them make Division I, help them make college, help them make high-level junior teams, and honestly just helped a lot of players have more fun and just see what they're capable of. Make showing up to games exciting and something that they want to do instead of this dread that I know a lot of players feel. So if you want to learn that, click the first link below. You can see what it looks like to work with us. You can apply. We'll let you know honestly if we think we can help, and then we'll jump on a call to talk you through it. But again, mastering the mental game is super important for anybody who's doing the physical work, who's outworking everybody, but still not seeing the results they deserve in games. So once you master your mind, it's going to help you actually dominate consistently, and that's going to allow you to get more opportunities. It's going to get you in the door in a lot of places, and then it's going to also help you get to the next level and then stay there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Have an awesome week. I'll see you guys in the next one.